So let's go ahead and take that one to the bank and move on from the worldwide weird and welcome and head to Florida for the welcome to Florida. Florida man allegedly used scissors to cut off penis of wife's lover. Not very funny story. I Googled Florida man and this is what happened. Yeah, you heard about this?
Yeah, so apparently because, Google knows everything you do online, because I search Florida man sometimes, now my wife gets tons of notifications for Florida man.
Nice.
And so she's like, it's crazy shit just going on in Florida, but I'm always getting notifications. And this is one of the ones she got.
So a Florida man is in custody for allegedly using a pair of scissors to cut off the penis of the man he suspected his wife of sleeping with. He was a 49-year-old, arrested Sunday after his neighbor told a deputy that the man tied him up at gunpoint and cut off his penis with a pair of scissors. Then he allegedly left with the severed penis, according to the police. The neighbor, who was not named, told them that he came over with a handgun, threatened to kill him if he resisted, and then forced the man up to his bedroom, tied him down, and chopped his wang off. This is one of those stories that, on one hand, it's like you kind of asked for it.
It's brutal, but you understand it.
Yeah, but it crosses the line over to it is brutal. I understand the motivation behind it. If the circumstances were different, I would kind of be on the guy's side. If he came home and this man was having sex with his wife and he held him at gunpoint and cut his dick off in his own home, I would kind of be like, well, that's what fucking happens. You went into this man's home and you were having sex with his wife.
And then it was like a moment of fury and rage. It kind of just happened. That makes a lot more sense.
Correct. This happened at the guy's house. So the perpetrator found out that the wife was having sex with this guy, went over to his house. There were kids in the home when it happened. He took the guy upstairs into a bedroom and did it. And then he left with the penis. In my mind, and back in the day, Lorena Bobbitt, everybody knows that name. She was the lady that cut off her husband's dick. This guy, nobody's going to remember his name because we're in a state of just constant crazy at this point that it's so fucking hard to keep up with. And it's fucked up that he took the dick with him. If he would have left it there, maybe they could have reattached it. But no, this guy.
I think that was probably the point. He was like, "Fuck no, this guy's never getting it back."
Yes. So castration for infidelity. What do you think, man? Does the punishment match the crime?
No, I think castration for rape. Okay,
Yeah.
Infidelity. I think it's a little too harsh. I know if heaven forbid something like that happened to me with my wife, I would be crushed. But I'm not going to destroy my life. I'm gonna kick her out the damn house, and but not gonna go because you're just destroying your life even further than it's already destroyed.
Dude, and I understand emotions are not the most rational, they're not the most logical all the time, but you have to accept that to you, or to that man, you are nothing. You are a concept. I mean, maybe they were best friends. I couldn't speak to that, but I just say in all cases of infidelity, it's like, that motherfucker doesn't owe you anything. It's the woman that you're in a relationship with. She's the one who fucked up. That guy just did what people would maybe do in that situation. Your wife or your husband, they're the one that has the obligation to you. They're the ones who did you dirty, not the other party involved. So I think there's a lot
stranger doesn't owe you anything. I mean, I do think we all owe each other human decency, but I've known other situations where a guy's sleeping with a chick and then all of a sudden her husband calls and he's like, dude, I didn't even know she was married.
Correct.
There's shit like that happens all the time. And it's whoever is in the marriage and cheating on you is the one responsible, whether it's the husband or the wife, not the person they're sleeping with. That being said, don't fuck other people's wives and husbands. It's a good rule of thumb.
100%. Yes, it is morally questionable of the person who does it. Again, they just don't have that same... they haven't spent years with you. The trust is between the couple. So I always have said, you don't need to retaliate against that person. Just if you have to do something, break up with the fucking piece of shit who decided that they were gonna just throw your relationship away like that. And this, it's dark, it's morbid, it's obviously way over the top. I don't know, man. I can't imagine being in that guy's situation, like what it must be like to go through life without a penis.
Oh, no, man. No, that sounds miserable. At that point, like, and this sounds hyperbolic, but I really don't know if it would be better to just shoot me.
Yeah, I don't know how chicks do it. If I'm being honest, like, how do you make it through life without a penis?
Maybe that's what he should do. He should just get a sex change.
Fuck yeah, halfway there.
Woman of the year.
Trust me, the hard part is behind you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the worst part's behind you, man.
Author of popular Florida man. Well, let me reverse the order of this. I don't want to bury the lead. Okay, masturbating Florida man got a handful of cops' butt during arrest.
Naturally.
Yes, and not the most sensational headline, but it was right here in Pensacola.
Sounds like there was a
Walmart.
lot of sensation going on during that.
Oh yeah. So we've got a guy. Let's see. Let me turn this off. All right. A Florida man who has been accused of masturbating in a Walmart parking lot grabbed a deputy's buttocks while he was being arrested, saying, quote, "Let me feel it. Let me just feel it." Love it. Trenton James Rich of Pensacola was detained last Saturday by an officer from the Escambia County Sheriff's Office who responded to the North Navy Boulevard Walmart just after 4:30 p.m. after a complaint was filed about indecent exposure, the Pensacola News-Journal reported. So, yeah, this happened the other day. I live in Pensacola, for those of you guys who are joining us for the first time. This was a 19-year-old suspect who was listed as homeless in his jail records. Allegedly, he made a number of lewd comments towards the officer and resisted arrest before attempting to flee the area. The local media...
Do they say if it's a female or male officer?
I was reading... it with bated breath to find out the answer to that question. That is a very valid question. It was a dude.
Yeah, okay. Which somehow makes the story even better. I don't know why.
Oh, 100%. He gave his name to the officer when he was approached, but then exposed his genitals and said, "Suck on it." Shortly after a brief tussle, he allegedly stepped back, put his hands into the karate chop stance, and started swinging at the deputy. I fucking love the details, man. These stories, they're really about the details.
Very investigative journalism. They went like into detail with that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, he must have been out there a while, you know? That's what I was like, if the cops got
You don't
called...
start masturbating in Walmart if you've been out there only a day or two.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the act itself, like this particular session must have went on for close to... I mean, how long would it take a cop to respond to? I think we'll say 20 minutes. The information, which was based on a witness, included the allegation that he was seen, quote unquote, pleasuring himself. So, yeah, they've got some witnesses.
Have you ever seen a homeless man masturbate in public?
No. I think you did.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was in Hollywood, but I'm pretty sure. But it might have been Seattle. But I'm 90% sure it was in Hollywood. And this dude's just like laying on the sidewalk, completely laying down, dick out, just like jackhammering that thing.
It's so sad. Like, I mean, it's funny. It's fucked up. We sit here talking about all this stuff, but like homeless people, like, they're like out there like animals, man. It fucking sucks. Like,
it's all mental, not all, but most of it's mental illness.
Yeah. And it's got to be dehumanizing in the first place. So it's like all of those like social graces, all of the things that we see as normalcy, we take it for granted. It's like they've lost all of that, like the shame that goes along with these kind of things. Like a lot of people would be embarrassed. They don't have that anymore a lot of times.
Well, I mean, and this is it sounds like I'm making a joke, but I don't mean it that way. Is like once you're shitting on a sidewalk in front of people, that kind of goes out the door. Like when you have to shit in outdoors constantly, your level of shame would instantly go down.
Yeah. Yep. So the same day, a 55-year-old Florida man was arrested. This is in Pensacola also after being accused of leaving his wife naked on the side of the highway and then setting fire to her vehicle. So, yeah, keep it up, Pensacola. Keep it up.
Did it say why?
No, it doesn't.
See, that's a better way to handle. It's still fucked up, but much better way to handle infidelity if that is the case there.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's more, it's like, you're definitely going to feel it, but it's not going to ruin you or deform you for the rest of your life.
Yes. It's fucked up, but it's understandable if that's the backstory behind it.
Interesting stuff going on out here in Florida. So, on that note though, and I think we've alluded to it in the past, there's an article in the Inquisitor that was just now published this week saying that the Florida Man author, the guy who basically tweeted all of the Florida Man headlines, decided after further reflection that he was going to quit doing it. That laughing at the Florida Man headlines is like not good for people with mental illness, for people dealing with the kind of problems and poverty and stuff that that is kind of put upon them, and then they get thrown into the national stage and basically are ridiculed over things that vary from being silly and harmless, like you and I talk about some stuff that just outright is funny, and then also, and it sucks to have to be like self-aware, but we also kind of make fun of stuff that isn't funny, that's actually inherently kind of tragic or disturbing and stuff like that. So I'm trying to pull up the article, but what are your thoughts on this? How do you weigh in on that?
I think there's a line, like we try, not saying we haven't crossed it, to when people are dying, not to make fun of it, you know.
Yes.
Someone's like molested or raped or you know, something, we try not to make fun of it too much. And even when we do make fun of the headline, with the like the guy, the one that was the most serious was the dude who gets his penis cut off. We didn't like rip into it too bad, you know?
No.
Like we're always kind of like try to be. That being said, my stance on humor is you got to be able to laugh at this shit. If not, the world is a super tragic place that I don't want to live in.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. It's like, and there are certainly plenty of stories that we don't include in here. Every Florida Man story is not created equal. There are, you know, if it's like you mentioned, if it's sexual abuse against minors and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, we're not even going to fucking touch it. We're just not even going to go there in the first place. There are times like that. The story that we just now discussed with the Florida Man jerking off in the parking lot of the Walmart, to me, that's fair game. Should they show the guy's picture in the articles?
No, I don't think that. I feel like a lot of this stuff we shouldn't show people's pictures in general. But then there is the other side of it where we do want to demonize negative behavior, you know? So you can always take that angle. I'm not necessarily thinking that's an angle I take, but you can always use the angle of, well, we need to stamp out crazy, harmful behavior, and mockery is one of the most effective ways to do that.
Back to shame, you know, it's that idea of like, as a society, we've got set standards of what is acceptable behavior, and if you step outside of those lines, you can be sure that people are going to call you for it. However, is there ever going to be a benefit are people with mental illness ever going to reap the benefit of that? I mean, are some of these people even capable of learning the lesson, you know?
I would agree with that, but I don't think all of these Florida Man headlines are all mental illness or the poverty excuse. Fuck the poverty excuse. I hate that shit. I grew up dirt poor in the hood. You know, don't use that as an excuse. If you use that excuse, you can justify any behavior. So some of this stuff, I'm like, no, we should shame it. Mental health is where I tend to be a little different. Like, you know, the masturbating story, funny as shit, but also is kind of tragic.
Yeah, it's a interesting discussion. I think it's definitely worth having. I do agree. Like, it's interesting. Like, do social factors alone dictate what a person's actions are? I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I do think that everything together kind of contributes to where a person ends up. But yet, no, I don't believe that being poor is an excuse to do something terrible, but maybe the circumstances contributed in some way to where the person ended up. Not that you can explain away or justify it that way, but that there probably is, you know, a relationship
thing. If you watch like any of these like girls incarcerated, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix. Well, it's a great documentary series about young girls, like teenage girls, and they do predominantly come from poverty and really fucked up homes, and
Hmm.
it's sad. But then there's also the other side of you're like, oh, that 16-year-old girl's so sad. Then you're like, oh, she armed 13 people at gunpoint and put a gun in their mouth.
Right.
So fuck her,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point too. At some point, it's just kind of like, fuck them. They obviously didn't have the same kind of respect or concern about the well-being or happiness of other people. I mean, how many kids were probably traumatized if they saw that guy whacking it in the parking lot of Walmart? I'm sure that wasn't what he was worried about, is like, oh, I don't want to, emotionally cause this person distress or something like that. So like, to give them the kind of consideration that they wouldn't give other people. I don't know if that really is a argument worth exploring. But I just feel like, if the roles were reversed, we as a society, we do tend to laugh when we can, because there's just so much horrible shit around us. Like you said, it's like to be able to find humor in things, even if it's dark in nature. I think I think it's very human.
Oh, 100%. Like I hate when people do the thing too of that affects me, therefore you can't joke about it.
Yes.
Everything affects someone. And it makes, I don't know. It's one of those things that everything's offensive to someone. Everything is we shouldn't laugh about, like it's not that serious. It is that serious, but you can't treat the entire life that way, I guess is the best way to put it.
I was wondering, there was definitely been more than one stand-up comic that has said that, but it's 100% valid. It's like, everybody's laughing until the joke is about you, and then all of a sudden it's not funny, and something applies to everything applies to someone, like, just for example, I'm somebody who grew up asthmatic, and I'll laugh at a stand-up special all the way through, and then the comic will say something about asthma, and I'm like, that's not funny. Well, no, it's not funny because it's about me, but I'm willing to laugh at the expense of others on every other joke all the way along. So it's like, eventually you just gotta laugh. Like, it is what it is.
Yes.
Like, why are we so self-serious that we can't just laugh at ourselves?
Well, and that's the thing is, like, okay, I'll use my cancer. I had cancer, and that would be like me laughing through a whole thing and then getting offended when he makes a cancer joke, when he made an AIDS joke 10 minutes before, or a rape joke, or whatever super offensive thing, or a racism joke that hasn't affected me.
Yeah.
If there's, first of all, I know people deal with things in different ways. I made so many jokes about my cancer to keep my head in a good spot, because that's the way I deal with shit, is through humor. So I feel like there is a place for humor.
Yeah, I agree. So you guys let us know about your thoughts on the Florida Man topic down in the comments section. It's one of my favorite segments of the show. I always enjoy kind of going through that stuff. And yeah, there are some times that I Google it and I'm just like, oh, the world's fucked. But